Hi, I'm Don Armstrong. I'm the president of Leader Services Limited. We've been providing maintenance management training and consulting to industries and institutions around the world since 2004. One of the things we've noticed is a very common problem is people have trouble finding parts in the storeroom where they have a maintenance computer system. And there's many reasons for this. First of all, the search functionality in some of the maintenance computer systems is quite weak. For example, you can search for only one word at a time, or perhaps you can search for two words if you use a wildcard, but then you have to enter the words in the right order or you'll have an unsuccessful search as well. Sometimes it's hard just to navigate to get to the screen to start a search, and often the quality of the data is poor. Now, data quality is usually a result of the people who enter the data, which may take some man-years of work, were not properly trained or they did not have good naming standards. For example, mechanical people may put the manufacturer's part number in the description field, while the electrical people will put the manufacturer's number where it should go, and that's in the manufacturer's part numbers field. And sometimes the names used are not the same as the names that are commonly used by maintenance people. For example, pulleys may be called shivs, pillow blocks called plumber blocks, and so on. Perhaps you've had a data cleansing service that's come in and used and removed all the trade names. For example, what used to be called a conduit is now called a body. This may sound silly, but it does happen. Now, if you're interested in naming standards, you can see an article on the subject on our website. Perhaps you've introduced a new computer system that's required all the stock numbers to be changed so that the handy numbers that people had written in maintenance manuals and tradespeople's notebooks no longer find the parts that they need. These problems are so common that we decided to do something about it, and we developed FindIt. FindIt can help to overcome all of these problems, and anybody who has used Google on their home computer can use FindIt to quickly and easily find the parts that they need. And I'd suggest that if you're considering replacing your existing computer system because of searching difficulties, have a look at FindIt first. Let's have a look at how it works. When FindIt is installed, two icons will appear on everybody's desktop. One is for an equipment number search, which I'll come back to, and the other is for searching for parts in the storeroom. To open FindIt, just double-click on that, and the search screen comes up. The top box here is where you enter search strings like you would enter a search in Google. We have three sites here. We've got blue, gold, and green, three different plants, and we're looking at the inventory for all three of them. There are 76,535 items in inventory. The data was last updated on 3rd of October 2017, and so on. Now, the columns that display are the site, the stock number, the bin number, the description, and the manufacturer's part number and the manufacturer. But we're located at the green location. We're nearly always going to want to look in our own storeroom, so we'll limit the search to the green site, and that won't change. So if you close or open FindIt, it won't change until you go in there and change it. So what FindIt does is it looks through up to 11 fields for any string, or that's a number or word that you put into the search box. So if I put in a bearing and hit enter or click on go, it's found 1,428 bearings in the 21,000 items in the green site. Now I know it's the number 6311, so I put that in. You can drill down, and now it's found 6311 in the manufacturer's part number and the word bearing in the description. Doesn't matter which order you put those in, it will find them. To clear that search, I can click on clear search terms, or I can just overwrite the entry. I'm going to look for a simple part like an elbow for a pipe. I put an elbow, I'm finding 421 items. I can keep adding terms there to drill down. I'm looking for 316 stainless steel elbows. I'll add 316. It's come down to 82 items. It's a 45-degree elbow. I'll put 45 in there. It's come down to 38 items. And I can scroll down and look at the data, and this is a powerful thing to do and FindIt. You can see that the format used for dimensions is inches, no space, 3, and the quotation marks for inches. So I just wanted to look for 6-inch elbows. And now I've got 3 items that I can easily find the one that I want and select that. So it's very simple and it's lightning fast. If I'm looking for a tool like a 13/16 drill, I just put in 13/16 drill and it finds drill, twist, 13/16 and so on. Now let's carry on and look for something a little more complex like a Fisher valve. You can see we find 214 of those. Now if I click on the top of the description column here, it sorts the results in alphabetical order. I can do that by any field. Sort by manufacturer's part number, but let's sort by description. And if you click on it again, it'll reverse the order. So all the valves are at the top. So you can see that all the valves are together. I can scroll down and look at those. And but we just want Fisher valves. They're 317 stainless steel. And now we're down to 27 of them. Now it finds 317. Anyway, you'll see some of these are 316 stainless steel valves, but it found 317 in the further down in the description for part of the trim. Some of the descriptions are truncated, they're cut off, you can't read the whole description, so if I go to the left-hand column and double-click on that, it will display the whole description and all the other fields that are part of that record. Let's look for another bearing, 6209, C3 clearance, and it's got 2 rubber seals. And I found one there. We've got one in stock. So I go to the storeroom to see if I can find it, and we're out of stock. I need it, we're shut down, we need that urgently. Well, I can go back here and delete that and look at the other sites. You'll see that the gold site has one in stock. So we can get on the phone and call the gold site and say, hey, look in your bin SL9C4 and see if you've got one of these in stock. And if so, put it in a taxi and send it over to us. Very useful. If I'm looking for a V-belt, I'll put V-belt in here. And you'll see it's got all sorts of things that contain V and belt. So if I sort this by description, you'll see that V-belts have been entered belt, comma, V. V-belt will find them. And if you look at the supplementary data, you'll see that all the possible combinations of V-belt when the data is entry are included in the supplementary data. Very useful for things like V-belts and O-rings and U-bolts and so on. Over the years, we've developed quite a dictionary of supplementary data. For example, if you're looking for a plumber block, you'll find the pillow blocks, and if you're looking for an adapter, you'll find the adapters spelled ER as well as the ones that are spelled OR. Disc, you'll find both spellings. Disc and disc. And so on. Some people call pulleys shivs, so we look for a shiv, we'll find the pulleys as well. And things like pump brackets, we'll find rotating assembly and rotating element and so on. And of course, as I said, things like V-belts where you have lots of different possibilities, it finds them as well. And what we found in implementing FindIt in various places is that when we put in these supplementary terms, you'll normally find that 20 to 30% of the inventory requires some sort of additional search term, and it solves a lot of searching problems. In fact, some of them end up with 3 or 4 different supplementary terms. The only special character in FindIt is a backslash. A backslash, we haven't found that in any of the data we've looked at yet. So what we use the backslash for is to replace a space. If you recall, when we put in the 6311 bearing, FindIt looks for the string 6311, then it starts a new search to find the word bearing. So if I look for a 5-groove pulley, you'll see that it finds a whole lot of others. We've got the 8 groove, we've got 5 groove, we've got, because if you look at the 8 groove one, it's finding a 5 somewhere in the description or the part number or so on. There we are, there's a 5 there. It finds that 5 and then it finds the word groove. Now if we replace that space there with a backslash, it's finding the phrase 5 groove and then the word pulley. So now it's only finding the 5 groove items. The backslash is very useful if you're looking for fractions. If I look for 1-1/2 for inch and half dimension, I'll find that there are 439 items in our inventory that have the fraction inch and 1/2. If I put in 1\1/2, you'll see that there are 1,403 items where the fraction has been put in as 1^1/2. Now, one great advantage of FindIt is these searches are so fast that you can overcome those kind of data inconsistencies by doing 2 very fast searches. The backslash is also useful for strings or words that are found in all sorts of other words. If I look for a T, I'm looking for a pipe T. You'll see I found over 7,000 items, and that's because the word T is found inside words like steel and teeth and steering and so on. So if I put the backslash in front of the T there, you'll see it goes down from 7,000 to 652. Now there's some tricks you can use for searching here, and if I look down at the data, I'll sort it by description. You'll see that wherever the word T is for pipe fitting, it's followed by a comma. So if I put that comma in there, it's now got rid of words like teeth and so on. So it goes down 178 items. And then I can add things like 316 stainless steel and so on to drill down to the part that I'm looking for. And the other thing that FindIt can be used for is to build a list of material for a work order or for a spare parts list for a piece of equipment. The first thing we have to do is to make up a template, something like this. So we go back to FindIt, and what we're trying to do is build a work order list, material list for replacing some water piping. And we're putting in 1.5 inch 316 stainless steel pipe, schedule 40. So there it is, there's the pipe there. We click on that, select it, copy it, use Control-C, standard Windows copy function. And we can use Control-V and paste that into the work order material list. Go back to FindIt. We now want pipe. Now we want some elbows. Now, we don't want schedule 40 for the elbow. We know one of them might be 3,000 pounds or something. We can find the 1.5 inch pipe elbow that we want. Click on that, copy it, go back to our template, paste it, and so on. Build up a list of material for the work order. Now here's the template for a spare parts list for a piece of equipment. We know the pump is a Gould 3196MT pump. So if we go to FindIt, put in Gould's 3196MT pump. First thing we want is an impeller. So here's the impeller. We know scanned down, it's a 2x3 pump. There it is. We'll copy that and paste it into the parts list. Use Alt-V to tab between those 2 screens. We want a stuffing box cover. There it is. Control-C, Alt-Tab. Click Control-V. Go back and find a shaft, and so on. Very easy to build a spare parts list. So that's the FindIt Storerooom search function. Now, as I mentioned before, if we go back to the desktop, there's also an equipment number search. Now, what we found in our travels is that it's not uncommon to find up to half of the work orders charged to the wrong equipment number. It's simply because it's too difficult to look for the equipment numbers. It's very difficult for some people to work their way down through a hierarchy to find the equipment that they need. It is much easier to search by description. So one of the problems with searching by equipment descriptions is that quite often in the database, the descriptions will have been abbreviated, and that defeats the FindIt search to some extent. There should be a standard that says if you're going to use a field in any database to search by, then you should use the unabbreviated name. As just like putting abbreviated surnames in a phone book would make searching a phone book difficult. So if we're looking for something, we know we're working on the broke chest. We put in the broke chest, and there's the broke chest and the agitators and so on. So it's very easy for someone, when they're getting a part out of stores and the storekeeper says, "What's the equipment number?" you can look it up instantly. A couple of other features of FindIt. You can change the column width, but do this with caution because it stays changed until you change them back again, so it might mess up the screen for anybody else using the computer. There is a help button, and what the help button does is it really summarizes the information that's on this video. It provides a little tutorial for people who are new to using FindIt. Finally, there are some things that FindIt won't do. It won't show you the quantity on hand. FindIt is not linked to your maintenance computer system, and you'll have to transfer the number to that maintenance computer system to find what parts are actually in stock. And you can use the copy and paste feature that we showed a minute ago to do that. FindIt's a great tool for tradespeople and storeroom staff. They love it, and it uses standard software. And the supplementary data that we've have added has been collected over several years and addresses many of the search problems. As I mentioned, typically you'll find that 20 to 30% of the items in the storeroom will have supplementary data added. The other thing about FindIt that people really enjoy is that it's small enough to put on people's home computers, so that if you're a person or a maintenance person who's on call on a weekend or at night, you can help the people in the plant to find the parts in the storeroom that they need. Now, I should conclude by saying that the best way to find parts for equipment is to have a good parts list. Now, few places have these completed, but where they do, they should be used first. However, parts lists don't usually include things like standard pipe fittings and other commonly used maintenance items, so this is where FindIt really works well. If you want to purchase FindIt, the current price is 4,300 Canadian dollars. Updates cost $300, and typically they are done once a year, although we send out a reminder once every 3 months. Or alternatively, we can train somebody on your staff for $600 to do your own updates. We can also provide references to some current happy clients who have enjoyed using FindIt for some time. Thank you for watching.